Hello all, this is Dr. Drake Vallot with Gunk. Today we're bringing you a special talk about the War of the Owldeers. So there was a fun event that happened a couple of days ago that was signifying the end of the world. We talked about this in our last video on how Mycetium on Pyromyces was destroyed with a meteorological event. So this is what took place earlier in the day, that we had an enormous amount of enemies. We were going against creatures, and there were over 26 players taking part in this war with the quote-unquote Owldeers, as we're calling it. So when we first got into the game, a lot of us headed over to the Wild Wormhole planet, so that's where we're at. And we're just looking around for different things, and a couple of us had come across this enormous ravine of just Owldeer. There were hundreds of Owldeer there. And so it started out with maybe 3-4 of us just trying to attempt to take out some of these Owldeer. And we quickly saw that this was not going to be something that was possible with a small group. Even though these creatures were only, they were the easiest or the second easiest level. But that still didn't matter. There were just so many of them, it didn't matter. So what started out with 3 or 4 of us turned into 8 of us, turned into 15 of us, and then ultimately at this time that you're watching, there's roughly about 25 of us that are just trying to destroy. It's about 5 to 6 makers that are spread around this ravine, and it's just consistently spawning Owldeers the entire time. And so you can see with the 2 overlaid videos at the bottom, those are happening 15 minutes prior to the main video. And the funny reason behind that is we were doing our first stream the other day, and I overloaded our video encoder, and therefore about 15 minutes of the footage was completely useless. But I was recording these other videos differently, and so that's why we still have those videos. And so I just wanted to give just different perspectives of this entire event, because this thing went on, this war went on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, before players started to trickle out and just start exploring, as we started hearing that maybe the world-ending event would be starting. A lot of us stuck around because this was a lot of fun, first of all. The group combat in Stars Reach is a lot of fun. I'm personally not much of a combat player, but the arcade combat, the teamwork required, you have people healing, you have your people shooting, you have people trying to destroy the makers, which are the creature spawners. It's a full-on group feel, and so that's a lot of fun to go through and be a part of that. But the other side of it is, we also thought maybe this is the start to the world-ending event. So we just kept going, just wondering, was there going to be anything else? Because we would take out a maker, and within a few seconds, that maker would respawn. And that was something that a lot of us hadn't really seen prior in the test. So we're like, okay, the devs have got to be messing with us. They're starting this event, and this is the beginning of it. We later found out that the devs didn't have anything to do with this side of things, so it was purely the players that were just having a good time, and it just so happened that this corner of the Wild Wormhole map spawned a lot more makers in a very small area. So while it wasn't part of the end of the world event, it still was a lot of fun for all the players because, again, teamwork, it was kind of camaraderie building, and it brought a lot of players, which, with this much stuff going on, it was understandable that some people were experiencing some lag, but overall, it went well. And you can see with a lot of the combat, like, this kind of shows you just all the kind of possibilities of how you have things that can freeze like here, you have things that are sending acid, you have people using gravity guns, you have fire right there, you can see how many divots there are in the ground just from all the creatures attacking left and right. You have to be careful for CC and any type of movement impairment. There's a whole lot you have to think about. You have people healing with the helixes right here. Each of these Owldeers are going to all be different variants, so that's why you see some of them are shooting ice, some of them shooting fire. I think later on, which we don't have video of right now, we even get some one of the shock box, which is another type of Owldeer variant that shoots out electricity. So there's a lot of things you have to kind of think about, and from a combat angle, like, one of the things you really want to make sure you have with you is consumables. So your health boosters, your focus boosters, and your stamina boosters, all three play a vital role in being able to survive these type of combat scenarios. So you have your health booster, which take meat to create. You have to cook it. Your health booster is going to restore your health. It's pretty straightforward. The same with the focus. It's going to restore focus, and your stamina is going to restore stamina. Your focus boosters are going to restore your focus so that you can use your special abilities on your weapon more often. So that's going to be very helpful for these fights, especially for, depending on which weapon you're using, you'll be able to get those special abilities out a lot quicker. Granted, we're not going against any, like, boss level things. It's just more sheer numbers of how many creatures we're having to face. But your special abilities are still going to help. Your stamina booster, that's going to be useful if you're caring about, like, you need to use your ground mesh. That takes away your stamina. You can basically infinitely dodge currently because there's no global cooldown on using consumables. So you could essentially just fly around and infinitely dodge using a stamina booster. So those are basically three main consumables that are going to be really helpful while you're in combat. The other thing that is going to be really helpful is you see these shields that keep popping up on different players. So you have, like, you see another white shield, and you see this blue shield. So the white shield is a reflection shield. So it's not as strong, or it doesn't have as much energy as the fortress shield does. So it will run out quicker. But the benefit for the reflection shield is you're going to be able to reflect attacks back at the creatures. So that's my favorite thing to use, is the reflection shield. So I'm always equipped with it. I prefer that a lot more to the fortress shield, which the fortress shield, while it will last longer, it's just doing more of a damage reduction. So one's completely preventing, the other just reducing. So it's kind of choose which one better fits your play style. But it's definitely recommended you have at least one of them for something like this, because the last thing you want, which is why I like using the reflection shield, is to get frozen or to get electrified, because you're going to be CC'd at that point and you're not going to be able to move. And when you are CC'd, that means you can't use your health boosters. So if you're in a fight like this with this many creatures and you get frozen, you're going to die. There's just no way around it, because even though they're weak creatures, you have 10 of them attack you at once and you're going to have no health at that point. So that's something to keep in mind, is you want to stay away from getting CC'd in these big fights. Granted, is there anything you should care about right now? Because you can easily set yourself up in one of these camps and you can just respawn there and go pick up your stuff. But in the future, we don't know what's going to be possible. So, but we can talk a little bit about how the re-life works on these camps. So the reason you see so many of these camps scattered across the battlefield is people are constantly dying. They need to re-life and start over again. So having these camps, all you have to do is go to the camp, interact with the camp kit in the center or near center, and from there you're able to set that as your new spawn. So when you die, you then can choose to spawn at your last camp location. So that way you can stay always in the fight. The other reason that it's nice to have the camps there is, as you consistently need to re-life, you start getting wounded. So your health is now, it can only go up to say like 75%. So you're at a disadvantage. But one thing that can get you back up to that full capacity, to that 100% health, is dancing. So dancing in camps, or dancing in homesteads, or dancing at the portal location will clear you of those wounds. So you can't dance for yourself. You need a second person to do it. But throughout this time, you'll see people dancing all the time, because people they're wounded and they want to get back into the fight with that full capability. So that's what you're going to see when people start dancing in these camps, and it just is more of a safe area. So just keep that in mind when you're doing these combats. Even if you're just by yourself or just with a small group, it can definitely be a smart thing to do to place camps down, so that you can make sure you're not having to walk 800 meters from the portal back to wherever you are. Especially with some bosses like they're going to be getting their health back. If everyone loses aggro, the creature's going to start healing itself. So having these camps nearby for like boss fights is going to be really helpful, because then you can just get right back in the fight. As long as you still have one person alive, you can keep that aggro going and it's not going to heal itself. These power-ups, like you just saw right there, can be really useful for these types of fights, especially with a lot of them, because with these easier creatures, it can pretty much one-shot them. So keep an eye for those power-ups, because you have invincibility, you have health regen, you have the bomb to blow things up. They're very useful in these types of scenarios. But so this is the War of the Owldeers, and hopefully you guys kind of get a sense of this is just something that's going to become part of player lore, something that we're going to remember, part of this bigger event of the destruction of the world. Because about 2.5 hours from this point, that's when Zaraxus starts having its meteorological event and starts turning into essentially a lava planet. So this was just a precursor, the War of the Owldeers, that players will remember for years to come. And you already have players talking about it in Discord. You have people writing about it. It's all from like a historian lore perspective. So while this is only a short snippet of what went on, this was a long battle that ultimately we'd probably say ended in a draw. We wanted to go out and do other things, prepare for the world-ending events, and we were not successful in taking out all the makers. So I think we can call it a draw, and we'll have to wait for this next update for when we get back into the game and see how much the world has changed. Because we are going to be getting a new patch tomorrow, and it's going to be a lot of fun for players. We're going to see the TPL star base. We're going to get a new player experience, and we're going to get currency. The Clatus, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I could be incorrect. Klaatus. So that's going to be the new currency. That is the plural version of it. The devs have let us know. So a lot of fun's going to be happening tomorrow, and then we have the 36-hour test over the weekend. So definitely, if you're available, would definitely recommend getting in game and checking things out. Then Gunk is going to be putting together, along with a lot of players from the community, to build a large spaceship in space to kind of culminate the lore even further on. The planet's destruction, the ship is now coming to save all of the explorers and inhabitants of these planets. And so it's going to be a fun time. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we're gonna keep trying to give you guys more content, especially with the new updates coming. So thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening or day.